Alright. Damn, I forgot. I don't get no V-Bucks. Oh, where did you go? We're back, and you know, I had a discussion with my dad earlier, and we were talking about influencer marketing, and particularly speaking, how can I put it this way? Just the market. Everyone's becoming an influencer and going to these red carpets or just certain stuff, and then I think about the people, that Michael Rubin, anybody who was somebody who was at that party. I'm not against, people are billionaires. They make their money. They have, extravagant parties or whatnot. That's cool. Not for that, a good time and certain stuff like that. Nothing wrong with that. But as far as, the markets, I realize, with these companies, I'm around a lot of people who, in a sense, are in a space, especially, I know people work for, Fortune 500 companies. They might work their way up. Might work a good 10 to 15 years and considered, top talent in the space. But as far as anything, you have to be realistic with what, is allowed. Not necessarily from a financial standpoint. I know a good rule of thumb for people is to stay between 3 years and then find your next move. And then, like I told my dad, a lot of these companies, they have all these grand plans to try to build a competitor or try to stay ahead of the curve. But what if there's no curve to be established at all in terms of business? Like AI. AI, to me, cannot replace human error, in my opinion, because AI can do something catastrophic, and you're going to have to pay a lot of money. And the prevalence of AI, how are we not sure that stuff can't be hacked? I mean, it's algorithmic. People coded it a certain way. But if you're using AI to solve a business problem, I think that's going to be catastrophic. Like, an AI can't solve a particular business proposition. Like, if someone bought, let's say, a grill, or they bought like a heat conductor or something like smoke vent, they basically upgraded the kitchen. Their prices or whatnot have to relatively be profitable. They're going to have to be able to use that as a business expense, and then think about the employees, the customers, the overall general atmosphere, and they can even do it. The difference between business, in my opinion, of a company going from good to bad is going to be, I'll call my sister later. I'll talk to you later. Damn, they pull. Okay. I might buy that. But yeah. And we talk about an influencer. I watched this person in LA. They had this thing where they converted an apartment to a restaurant, in fact. And so when they did that, naturally speaking, it didn't really make that much sense from a standpoint. It's kind of low-key. The person was talking about, the lamb. I think they got some fried fish and some mac and cheese. I'm seeing all these people going. The influencers are really making this business pop off. Like, anybody have to ask me what I think about Keith. I'm not hating on the brother, this, that, and the third, but some of them restaurants, if you read the stuff before, some of these places there to be out of business. I'm not trying to be funny. I know this is someone's livelihood, this, that, and the third. If a place is like the glory has departed from the restaurant, it makes you think twice about going there. There's like the places that could have been run of the mill good. Everybody named Mama could have went there. You know, good throwdown place. You know, you go get your soul food. Like there's places in New York that are not even good. Like you got Sylvia's, you got all this type of stuff, and the food is just really not that great for what it's worth. And you know, it's regarded as, you know, a good soul food place, but if you really had to think about it, it's only a small part of, you know, what New York has to offer, and it's a melting pot. So then, too, when you have no competition in a sense, you know, you have no type of things like that, you know, you're basically riding off the curtails of your past success, you become complacent. A lot of times you really do become complacent. Yes, sir. Just shit the fuck up out of here. I know a lot of people are asking what I think about the general consensus about, you know, I think about the food and the industries or certain stuff like that. And influencer marketing, in my opinion, either drives the demand up or causes a place to, I guess, not to go wild, like, you know, people don't question certain stuff. Like, for instance, there's this restaurant called Live House. It's in Alabama, and it's like $100. They're serving chitlins for $100. And Alabama is, like, I think, like one of the poorer states. That with Kentucky, West Virginia, and Mississippi. It's up there. And honestly speaking, I would never live in no Alabama. And it's not trying to be funny, anybody from Alabama, it is what it is. You know, you are where you're from, where you are. And I know, particularly speaking, a lot of places, there's not that much going on. Like where I'm from, obviously there is a lot going on, but then again, it isn't. In terms of small business development and growth, I mean, we have small businesses to a certain extent, but it's not spectacular. Like, you know, especially like dealing with cars and certain stuff like that. We can talk about cars real quick. Cars, in my opinion, are a scam. anything is liable to be a scam. Don't let anybody tell you that a car, a home, or anything is an investment, because more than likely it isn't. Like, not like a neighbor across the street. He bought a home for like $500,000. The house needs repairs. The market price on it right now is like $482. That's trash. It needs more repairs and certain stuff on it. And you know, the whole thing with it is anything that's liable. I mean, I met, you know, people in California who they definitely get the hustle on. I met a guy who's trying to start up a business, and he basically, what did he do? He basically was telling me he was just basically driving, you know, he couldn't sell a house. He's in a bad spot right now. In terms of, like, I don't want to say financially, but, you know, he has other revenue streams because houses weren't selling. The interest rate was like 9% or so. Part of California I was at, like a coastal city, kind of, I would say, between 10 to 15 miles away from like Solana Beach, and it's pretty nice. Pretty cool, pretty chill, about 59 degrees to 63. It just depends. Very cool place, very nice place. Cool breeze, cool everything out there. You know, you just go from there. Now, as far as, you know, just certain stuff, just being out there, you know, you definitely have to be making money in California. There's a lot of people out there making money. But the average person, you gotta think about the average person. If someone's making $15 an hour in California and then their rent is being the way it is, I don't want to be a victim of circumstance. That's the one thing you don't want to be, as a victim of circumstance. In terms of employment, you know, certain stuff isn't paying the bills. And, you know, like, you know, someone's cleaning a hotel or whatnot. I know these people, they count on tips. Definitely people some money, this, that, and the third, because people not making that much. And they're counting on the foot traffic, and that's how to get to people. Like a good $300 for people, they could possibly make it. But as far as anything else, though, you got to get gas. You got to take care of, you know, health insurance, if people even have that, you know, or even Obamacare, whatever it's called. You know, that's something you got to think about. And then, too, I saw this thing where the workers in LA were going on strike. The hotels had basically made like $6 billion, and it's one of the largest strikes happened in, I would say, at least in the United States. The largest coordinated strikes on like the West Coast, I think it is in United States history. Because the profits, these people working hard during the pandemic, and then after the pandemic, and then, you know, the increase in tourism to a certain extent, and, you know, places around Hollywood, this, that, and the third, places were demanding the premium. You know, just the rates are going up. And I mean, for me personally, I don't see market rates as being sustainable. It's just not something that I think is. I don't see a lot of stuff as sustainable. Whenever you have a price of, you know, a crappy hotel room going from, I don't know, let's say on a good day, 175, that's probably a good rate. But you go to something all the way up to like 285, these people are smoking something. 285. And you think about the stuff, I know tourism is a major thing, food, even transportation in LA, you're going to spend a lot of money. Surge pricing, and then just the pricing all around, eating out. And then thinking about the place I was at in LA, like, basically 2 years ago, is that you basically had to pay before you ate and then you got basically scanned the QR code and you ordered, did everything on the phone. So pretty much, I would say for the most part, the aspect of the customer service, to a certain extent, it just depends. Some people's customer service skills is bad all around, but the service industry in itself is kind of exploitative. But also, too, what's that saying about, the average experience of people? Granted, these servers, these waiters, all these people doing it, they're not making that much money. But yeah, in terms of business too, and the way stuff works, I don't think that's sustainable 100% for people to be able to live by working in these conditions and then working just in general. The people reaping the benefit is actual corporation. If you're not in the first line of coming in management, there's going to be a different conversation to be had about, your employment. You go on strike, that's pretty much the end of it. And I don't think people should be necessarily reprimanded to a certain extent when it comes to strike, because the wages that people are getting, and they have a family and stuff to support, you lose your job, get a breadwinner of the household like a man. You've been trying, you've been doing everything. You could lose your wife, your family, and you could lose it all. You lose your mind too. Oh, see that son of a bitch. The thing I'm thinking about most in terms of like what most people like mental health is like something that is major, and how you are affected, how your thoughts, how your behaviors, and then stuff you think about, experiences, how you get through, and therapy is important, and then taking medication is important for your mental health and well-being as well. Or identifying, behaviors or thoughts and shutting those down. Basically reanalyzing things, like in terms of like for business and just difficult situations and people. Like I saw this guy that I watched on YouTube. I'm basically getting an argument with another dude about percentage or a deal, or the person going back and forth. We're basically having a screaming match about what is acceptable, what's not. You send a label, this, that, and the third to make a deal over the phone. Well, from both standpoints, if you do business with someone across state lines, no matter what the state law is, it's going to be valid from both standpoints. Once you receive something, you do interstate commerce, both laws pretty much are applied. Like someone gets in a truck dispute or something like that about, basically clearing something, it's probably more likely going to be arbitration. This is going to go to or whatnot. You go from there. Everybody's trying to make a living. You're about to die. I feel like I'm already dead. I would have done better if I had that, but it is what it is. I know in a traditional sense when I think about business too and influencing can make a lot of people a lot of money. And then, it's not necessarily a win-win. There are a lot of people now at the table. Like, for instance, I blame influencing for the rise of these rapid, fast businesses where people don't necessarily have a baseline of a model. It's more we're just riding a wave. Like, for instance, these crab or fish boil, not fish boil, but basically crawfish and certain stuff like that, boils. There was this franchise in Los Angeles called Hot and Juicy. A lot of people, they didn't want to put up with the bad service that they had. They didn't want to put up with all this other stuff that they want to have. And then, too, when you think about it on average, people would rather drive the 4 hours and 10 minutes from LA to Vegas because the service was a whole lot better. At least the Vegas branch was established and, people were willing to spend that money and make that drive because the one in LA was just, quite frankly, terrible. I didn't eat there. My sister did. The people that she was around, they like seafood, but you don't go to LA to go and get seafood. They don't go to the place to get seafood, in my opinion. And influencing has really gotten really bad, though, because places that are terrible and should be out of business, in a sense, are not out of business. I know this is someone's livelihood. Like, sometimes I do feel bad for the people who, it's just they invested, some money, but, like, I watched something here recently about a man or people who started their business when COVID, or something like, they spent money on an alcohol license, or all of a sudden this man's dream when he was a kid to own his own sports bar, and he finally did that. has life savings, his money saved up, you spend an arm and a leg on getting an alcohol license, everything running, then COVID hit, and got a lease, signed into a lease, and then I think he basically lost his shirt, pretty much lost everything. And it said this stuff is not funny to me, this, that, and the third, so I feel bad for the dude, but life savings is not something that you play around with. And I told my dad earlier, life is a game, there's no absolutes and no guarantees, don't put your eggs in one basket behind anything. And a lot of people, for the most part, that's not necessarily people's strong suit to realize that something that particularly could go wrong. There's a probability. But in terms of a job and certain stuff like that, I think I value stability over the value of a dollar. For more ways than one. Like, if you think about, just on average, the average, how can I say salary for a particular space or any software companies, like someone's a senior software engineer. Like, there's a place that I know people make a lot of money. Like, there might be a network administrator working their way up through the ladder of a company. I don't think that's cool. They're not what I'm, placed here to do. You can probably make 80,000 just that we would work like a dog. I think my grind is a little bit different. Like I did. Alright. But I think the main problem is when we have these companies, people get so infatuated with the pay. And the one thing people should never do is overwork. It's not good for your mental health. It's not good for your well-being, and it's not good in terms all that time that you basically spent. Memories and stuff, you can't get that back, or anything, regrets, you can't get that back. Like, for instance, let's say, it's just like the holidays. People get away, spend time with the family. But if work and stuff gets in the way, people trying to focus on patting the pockets. Everyone needs to pat the pockets, but, time and stuff is something you can't get back. That's one thing I'm very apparent of. Time is something you can't get back. There's a lot of stuff to unpack from time. And a lot of stuff in a way if you're not necessarily handling things the way they need to be handled. And in terms of processing, and get to you in a certain extent, and then you start to wonder about, just certain things. Like, if someone had to ask me what's my average take on, salaries or whatnot, I think people need to make money, you need to be realistic. But, I think a lot of times, especially with sales position, people are focused on the sale of something, and they're not even focusing on the upfront stuff that people should. You're too busy trying to make a sale or try to make a deal to somebody, and you don't know the product. I went to a car dealership, look at a car with my parents, and this guy, he didn't know the absolute price. He referred to his computer. He's a finance guy. I don't deny that he knows his stuff from finance, but as far as running a business, and then he was focused on the sale. He wasn't focused on anything. He was focused on the presentation of the sale and not the product. And then another thing I'm still thinking about is just on average, like the movies. When you go to the movies, on average, you're basically paying what, $65 to $70. I went to go see Indiana Jones. You haven't gone and seen it? Please see it. I think it's pretty good. It's worth the money. I enjoyed it. I saw it for $7, and I think to me that's what an average movie is worth. In my opinion, it's not necessarily about $15 you're paying for the actor. This and the third, people are making money. I don't think it costs that much money to make a film. To a certain extent, people have salaries. People have to shop from a studio to pick it up. But some of these people have big names, big name studios. And once you have big name studios, in my opinion, you're going to have to be able to go and do stuff more effectively. Like, for instance, let's say I know someone was mad and they were going off on a tirade against Netflix, talking about, know your value, know your worth. I feel like, once people are in a bad business deal and a bad business proposition across the board, you want to go through the right, medians and the right, means of communication from both parties. If something has to go through arbitration, for one. Two, it's not good to badmouth people or do anything. I feel like, conflicts and stuff can be resolved if both people are willing to, put aside differences or whatnot. And then two, lastly, logically, in my opinion, how we view just certain things, what can I say? Like, we're viewing, for instance, like the person was talking about Squid Game. The people basically got scammed for Squid Game. Not to say it's scammed. The person shot the studios for 10 years. It became one of the biggest shows, and the person only got pennies compared to what Netflix and stuff had propositioned all the studios. He still got a decent check, but he didn't get that $1 billion. And I feel like, even something like, 15 million is life changing, relatively speaking. But if you don't have the team around you or the script writers and people to help you make that, you're not going to be elevated. The one thing, again, I would say that ruins a lot of things is complacency. Once someone is in a space and they're not necessarily doing what they need to be doing, or they're not pushed to a certain extent, you're going to get mediocrity across the board. And mediocrity could mean not adequately preparing for the future, not estimating growth, not seeing potential, opportunities in terms of business and life. Everything has a cost analysis, whether we believe it or not. Is it advantageous for me to go and, how can I say, business be the way it is? Is it advantageous for me to spend $15 or more on, let's say, how do I put it? Is it advantageous for me to spend $15 to $18 on a lunch just because coworkers and stuff is doing it? The answer to that question is no. If you have a goal, you have this, that, and third, something's everybody has financial hurdles they have to overcome, and a simple thing is not necessarily overspending. Some stuff you're just going to have to spend money on and eat the cost to a certain extent. A car is a gas guzzler and you're getting got, you're putting, $85 to $100 on a car, but it's your only means of transportation, for work. And, you're not getting comp miles to get to work. It may be time to try to at least, I would say, get something that's a little bit more affordable. Like someone has a Dodge Challenger, and it's 2015 or 2016. You probably get it for $13,000 or whatnot, but you spend a lot of gas, you drive fast, do whatever they want to do with it. it is what it is from that standpoint. But when you're putting 80, 85, or $75 to $100 in that gas tank, and potentially you're never going to get that type of stuff back. You might want to upgrade your car. You might want to look at something else. You might want to graduate to new things. Some people might be into motorcycles. Some people might be into, just a lot of stuff, cars and wrapping stuff. Someone might want to start a business doing that. A lot of stuff adds up. You have no traction or whatnot. You're pretty much advertising the car for yourself. You're in your own lane, just pretty much riding the wave out in terms of cars and what you're seeing. Cars, in my opinion, have become, I guess, not necessarily a tool, but everybody's rocking the same thing. And it kind of goes back to influencing. I watched a video on how this guy say he makes $560,000 a year in New York City wrapping cars. And his favorite pastime, he has 2 Mortal Kombat things. He has 2 Mortal Kombat arcade machines, like 1-up arcade machines. In my opinion, when something like that's happening, or people are making money with that, I think that's cool. Not everybody go and wrap a car, but at the same time, it's attention to detail. Everybody can't wrap a car, and everybody can't, do a good job painting a car, a good paint job. Does a very niche thing. I'm talking about my nuts. Trip on gas. Personal bastard. I might be off just a little bit. I'm gonna get to you guys possibly later, but I guess I made my point. In terms of just like certain stuff, like in regards to anything and everything in between. Person a bastard. How many minutes have I been streaming? 43 minutes, alright. First you gotta take your passion in the pop pressure. GTCs and plays on the low. Snow Bunny out in Humboldt. Grooble. Ah, hope you guys enjoyed, man. I'm out. Peace.